What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Sistas on BET. This is season 2, episode 16, and it's titled Missing What You Never Had. Alright, you guys, without further ado, let's get into this episode. Alright, you guys, so this episode, it picked up where the last one left off. You guys remember Zach was being arrested. The funny thing I thought about, I didn't catch it until this episode. So Zach is being arrested by the same cop that issued the warrant for his arrest in the previous scene. But okay. So yeah, he's been arrested. Zach was being difficult with the cop. I took offense to the cop I took offense to him because he was talking about his camera, his what do they call, you guys, the cameras that are on the body cam. He was rude to Zach. However, he was very rude to Zach. Now, the thing that got me, though, with the cop was when he arrested Zach, he never read Zach his Miranda rights. And I guess Zach didn't think nothing of that, but that man never read Zach his Miranda rights. So Zach could literally get off on that technicality because, I mean, you have to read to a person their Miranda rights. And he just handcuffed Zach and put him in the car. So, yeah. So then let's move over to Fatima. You guys know Fatima, she was going to go down to Karen's salon to get her hair done after, that shower scene with Zach last week. So, she makes it to the salon, and Karen's like, "Oh, girl, what happened to your hair?" And she was like, "Oh, girl, shower sex." So then Karen tells her, "Well, hell, at least one of us is getting some, since she's dating a Christian." And, Fatima's like, "Oh, you dating a Christian?" So she's like, "He waiting for marriage." And she's like, "How you know that?" She's like, "I've dated one before." She said, "Well, what did you do?" She said, "How long did it last?" She's like, "Girl, it lasted all of 3 weeks and I was done." So they have, they talk about, Aaron, and they both talk about Zach, not knowing that they're talking about Zach. I can't wait to see what happens when Fatima and Karen find out that Zach and Fatima are messing around. I really can't wait for this. But Karen does say that when it comes down to Aaron, she does like him and she does want to work things out with him. Now, this scene with Karen doing Fatima's hair, I was just sitting there looking at her with that flat iron, and she was just flat ironing that hair, and it just kept standing up. I'm like, can y'all at least make it look like she's really flat ironing this woman's hair? Because that hair she keeps touching just keeps standing up. Like, no, it's no heat coming from it, no nothing. I get that it's a wig, but I mean, with Tyler Perry's wigs, they can stand a little heat. They can stand a little heat. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So Danny and Preston. So it's the next morning with these two, and Danny asks Preston, "Is he okay?" He says, "Yeah, I'm fine." But Preston is more so worried about Danny and his brothers. Preston, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Like Danny said in last week's episode, she ran them over with the cart with Zach's cart. So Danny is fine. But Preston tells her that he appreciates her, and she says, "Okay, so what are your plans for today?" He says, "I'm gonna call my cousin who's in Alabama, and I'm gonna see if I can come work on his farm." And she was like, "You don't have to worry about anything just yet. Like, just sit here, relax, enjoy yourself. Like, you don't have to worry about it." And he was like, "Okay." So then there's a knock at the door, and Danny thinks that it's her landlord coming for the rent. But when she opens the door, it's James the Buttlicker, aka John Moody. He came over to see Danny, and he bought her a painting. Now, this scene with Moody and Danny was repetitive. So I'm not even going to go into detail about that scene. So then let's move over to Andy. So Andy is at work. She gets out of her car, and who pops up on her? You got it. You guessed it. It's Gary. So Gary is there to apologize to Andy, and then he also tells Andy that he is moving to Boston. So she says, "Okay." And he's like, "Okay." She's like, "Yeah, what else?" He was like, "I would have thought you said stay. I love you." I'm like, oh God, Gary, here we go. Gary and Andy. More so in this scene, it was Gary. Gary, you said to Andy, I'm leaving. Andy said, okay. When she said, okay, you should have been like, well, damn. You could say, well, damn, I thought you would at least say, stay or whatever. I wouldn't even say that. I would just come to Andy and tell her, you know what, Andy, I'm sorry, and I'm moving to Boston, and leave it at that. But it's Gary. Gary wants for Andy to grovel at his feet, basically, because that's all he wanted her to do was just to beg to him. I'm like, Andy, if you really sit here and beg this man to stay here, you are dumber than I think you are. But Fatima came to save the day, and they went into the office. I'm like, thank God for Fatima, because I feel like if Fatima didn't show up, Andy was really going to, play into Gary's hand. Like, I really felt like she was. But we're going to move on, you guys. All right, you guys. Next, we have Danny. Sabrina. So Sabrina is at the bank, and Danny calls Sabrina as she's heading to work. Danny fills Sabrina in on the situation with Preston. How his brothers beat him up, and them telling her that she was a bet to him. That was a lie. So then Sabrina tells Danny about Jacoby. And Sabrina was getting on my nerves in this scene as well, because Sabrina was just going on and on and on to me. She's talking about Calvin in 1 minute, then she's talking about Jacoby in the next minute. And it's just like, which one do you want? Like, you have all these issues with Calvin. First, it was the panties. Then it was your dildo. Then it was the drugs. It's like so many issues when it comes down to Calvin and Sabrina. And it's just like, you let one thing go, but then you find something else, and then you let that go, and then you find something else. So, which one is it, Sabrina? And I'm in agreement with Danny. Go out with Calvin. I mean, not Calvin, but with Jacoby. Forget about Calvin for a little bit. Go out with Jacoby. But she's like, but we work together. Now, I will give Sabrina that one. I will give her that part. I'll give her that. It is, when you work with a person and you date them, if things go bad, then that could be animosity in the workplace. So I will give her that. I will give her that one thing. But other than that, either you can go out on a date with him or shut up. Either you gonna call Calvin or shut up. One of the two. And then she's talking about the fact that she saw that Calvin went out with the girl. She saw him on his page. She saw her on his page. And I'm like, so you stalking this dude now? But then at the same time, like Danny said, you saw him at the restaurant with the chick. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that, to be quite honest with you. But it's just like, see, I don't know what Sabrina wants. I don't know what Sabrina wants, but Sabrina doesn't know what Sabrina wants. Now, once she hangs up with Danny, Jacoby comes in, and I will say that this scene with Jacoby and Sabrina was a little bit awkward for me. It just, because they were fumbling over, because he was talking about he just came from the gym, and he asked her, does she drink coffee? She said, not coffee here. It's like, oh no, I bring my own. So then they find out that they work out at the same gym. She says she goes to the gym, she takes a spin class with her girls. He's like, oh, I've never done that. How about, me and you go together sometime? And once again, him and Han. But she turned him down. He's like, so do you have a man? She's like, no. He's like, so what's the issue? Like I said a few minutes ago, I do get where she's coming from about the workplace dating. I get her on that part. So he was like, well, how about we go out for coffee? We meet somewhere. You can be there first, and I just happen to show up. And then while they're talking about this, in walks Maurice's messy, nosy ass, wanting to know all the tea. I just want to know what gay man Tyler Perry knows. Because every gay character of his is stereotypical. Let's move on. All right, you guys. Now at the law firm, Andy. So Fatima brought her a brief, or a file, whichever one you want to call it. And, she's asking, Fatima's trying to see if she wants to talk about what happened with Gary earlier. Here go Andy with that terrible attitude. I'm like, Andy, you taking your anger out on the wrong people, sis. Taking it out on the wrong people. But at least the girl does know how to say thank you. So then she tells Fatima that she misses Gary. I was like, oh my God, the man that almost choked you to death, you miss him? Okay, Gary. I mean, okay, if that's what you say. The heart wants what it wants. The heart wants what it wants. So, she, Miss Irene passed by. So Andy's going to ask Miss Irene for some advice. That advice that Miss Irene gave to Andy, spot on. Will Andy take that advice? Probably not. It's Andy. It is Andy, so I doubt she will. So then let's move over to Zach, you guys. So Zach, like I said, he's in jail. So Rhea, the cop that she flirts with him so much. So she comes and tells Zach what he's in jail for. He's in jail for credit card fraud. Again, you guys, I don't believe that Zach is the one that used Karen's credit card. I don't think so. I know somebody in the comment section said they think it was Aaron. I'm gonna say Aaron or Pam. It's somebody. It's somebody. But the question is, even if here's the situation. I say Pam because Pam has greater access to Sabrina's credit card. Only way I feel Aaron would be able to get her credit card is if he pickpocketed her. So yeah, Zach asked Rhea for a phone call. They have a back and forth. She asks him who does he want her to call, but she eventually gives him her cell phone. So he calls what's her name? Fatima. He didn't get her and went to voicemail. So then I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it now. At the end of the episode, Rhea came back to his cell and she was just really, really pissed off. Oh, it makes sense now. What the question that I posed at the end of last week's episode, it makes so much sense now. I'm gonna hold off on it. We're gonna hold off. We are gonna hold off because I'm about to talk about. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it. So give me a minute. Let me pause here, and then we'll talk about it. All right, you guys. So Hayden went to Fatima's office. Hayden is a bugaboo. So he apologizes to Fatima. And, he asked her, so what are you doing tonight? She says, none of your business. He says, well, he actually asked her, what did she do last night? I'm like, why? So then he asked her after dinner. She says, no. He asked, why? Do you have plans with that other guy? I'm like, dude, there's plenty of other women that you can mess with. I mean, I get it. She may have good poom. Dude, you look desperate at this point. You look desperate. So he tells her if she has plans with the other dude, those plans are not going to happen. And I was wondering if he knew that Zach was in jail. He didn't know Zach was. I think he knows Zach is in jail. I'm gonna tell you guys why. That truck that Zach is driving, it came from the program that he and Fatima are a part of. So remember in last week's episode review, I was like, how did the cops know to pull Zach over? Like, what did he do? Then I figured it out. I just figured it out a few minutes ago what it was. Because Zach also found out from Rhea that they found a kilo of cocaine in the spare tire of that truck. So that's what it is. Hayden put coke in the spare tire. He called the cops and informed them of that truck that Zach is in. So Hayden is the reason that Zach has his kilo charge on top of the credit card fraud that, what's the name, that Karen filed. So then we see Gary. So Gary has made his way down to the salon to talk to Karen. Pam was flirting with him. So Gary goes, Karen comes to get her purse and she sees Gary there and she's like, what do you want? Let's go outside and talk. So Gary is trying to plead his case to Karen. He wants for Karen to advocate for him and Andy. Absolutely not. So once she leaves, she calls Andy, asks Andy, he tried to contact her. She says no. But I'm like, Andy, you straight up lying. You need to tell her that he came to your office. So, but Karen says, well, he came to my salon. She says, what did he want? She says he wants for me to help you and help y'all get back together. I feel like Andy's gonna run right back to. I feel like eventually they're gonna get back together. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I honestly don't care, but I think they're gonna get back together. But you guys, that was a review. So let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Like this video, leave your comments in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. I know there's a lot of people who watch my videos that are not subscribed. You guys, it's free. Subscribe. If you like the content, please subscribe. And also go subscribe to the Planner channel as well. I think I said everything. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Also, stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves, wear your mask, wash your hands, and socially distance. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.